I'm Nelly Porter. I lead confidential computing and encryption in Google and Google Cloud, and it means everything that's related to protecting customers' workloads or data when they bring it to the cloud or store it in the cloud or process it in the cloud. It's something that myself and my teams are really, really involved in.
Wonderful. Well, it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much.
I'm Kirkpatrick. It's nice to meet you. I would love to ask you for your perspective on the most important or most common, most significant problems that confidential computing solves for customers these days. What brings people to confidential computing?
Confidential computing, first of all, let's define what confidential computing, just in case people need to learn what confidential computing is all about. So confidential computing is ability for us to run fully confidential. And it means you bring in your application and you're creating those cryptographic boundary that running in this box that you can't see through. And you can cryptographically, very important, attest to verify that it's exactly what we said, that it's running fully encrypted. And it's becoming very interesting for a lot of customers, especially when they have a data or workload that has plenty of privacy capabilities that needs to be protected. And talking about LLMs today, or generative AI, there is so much data. Private data, public data sets have to be merged together to be used for training, fine-tuning, or in-context learning. So having ability to protect it and provide this privacy boundary called confidential computing is incredibly important for them.
Wonderful. And what does it look like when success has been achieved? What kinds of business outcomes or new technical capabilities are enabled by confidential computing?
First of all, from business outcomes, people don't want to spend so much effort to modify their application, the workloads. For them, confidential computing needs to be invisible. It needs to be there, creating those boundaries. It's like in our windows, when we're closing our windows, we don't need to change everything that we do inside of our places. But we close our windows and it's becoming so private and so comfortable, so we can share very sensitive information with ourselves. So confidential computing needs to be very easy to be possible at that. It also need to be very available. Whenever I need to have ability to check the box and become confidential. And the third, it needs to be no barriers to adopt. I need to have the same performance, the same scalability, all of that with confidential environment as I will have with no confidential. So all of that, it's mandatory. But I think one of the very important capability that confidential computing bring into problem-solving situations that we have, something that impossible to solve without it. And the situations that we have, imagine companies like fintech companies or financial companies, they're trying to figure out what we call very basic trouble, money laundering. Or we have another company that's interested in what we call double spend. And double spend, the idea of double spend, you're coming to the bank, you're taking your loan, and you're putting some equity under the loan. And you're coming to another bank, take another loan, and putting the same equity. It's not allowed. But how do I know if the data of bank A or bank B is not ever shared? The same is money laundering. And you can't share your data because it's so sensitive. There's so much PII in this data. So yes, you can anonymize this data, remove PII, but then you don't know who is doing what. So to be able to solve those use cases, when you need to bring previously impossible to merge data sets, only confidential environments allow you to do that, because then it guarantees that none of the parties would be able to influence what is happening in this box we call confidential. something that you cannot do without confidential computing. And it's where the most exciting use cases are happening.
How does Google in particular engage with this space?
Google started many, many years ago. So if I will look back, I think I joined Google 8 years ago, and we already started to think about confidential computing and spent enormous amount of time working on that, enabling easy to use, scalable, performant technology for all customers. And back then, the industry was actually on completely different paths. The industry was trying to enable the most secure but impossible to use technology. And for Google, it was very difficult way to move the whole entire industry to explain very basic facts that everybody understood. You can have the best security, but if it's not usable, you can't use it. And again, one example of the same way I can present is called two-second factor authentication. Everybody understands that it's absolutely mandatory because your passwords can be phished. How many customers or users actually willingly use second factor? I would say 7% is the most. So because it's not usable, because it's required you to receive some code, type this code, forget of this code, so many trouble. So any security have to be beautifully easy to adopt, like face recognition. With Apple, you look at that, and it's actually authenticated you with secure element of the most secure level. So it's what we wanted to have confidential computing about, to be super useful. So we've done it, and 2019 is an interesting year because all of us figured out that we can't do it alone. We need to bring industry together. So few companies met, as I told yesterday, I think, on my keynote, in actually Google Campus to have this conspiracy theory about how we will create confidential computing consortium. It was a lot of fun. And why it's Google Campus? Because we have fantastic food. Nobody can resist that. So we brought all of those companies to us, and we had fantastic conversation, and we created together confidential computing consortium where we had back then 7 companies. Right now it's 37. I'm co-chair, very happily, again, helping in that. So Google spent enormous amount of effort of building this technology, but also trying to bring it from awareness to adoption, and make sure that industry will be part of this movement, because Google from day one understood that it's only together we will be able to do something useful.
What should we watch for Google to bring to this market next or in the future? What kinds of themes will you be addressing?
We started with, again, confidential computing is fully baked into hardware. And the reason it's so critically important for us, because now you have kind of 2 ownership model. So hardware is coming from Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, ARM, and software is coming from cloud software provider, cloud provider. So having ability to ensure that both of us are not lying and being able to provide this secure guarantee is very critical for us. So we enable confidential computing with AMD CPUs. This year we're bringing it with Intel CPUs that also incredibly easy to use. We, again, after that, want to add GPUs. We have the first ever NVIDIA GPUs that natively confidential from day one. So we want to bring this capability to our customers. We're expanding to provide more and more services to become confidential, because our customers not only need VM and Kubernetes, they need analytics, they need to run Hadoop, Spark, MapReduce in confidential environment, databases. So we're building the stack of confidential services as well. And the goal for us to get, again, absolute ubiquitous. We want to ensure that whatever service you will bring, whatever thing you need, it can run in confidential environment with ease, without any performance or scale degradation.